Are you thinking about buying the Samsung Galaxy S22? Then you have probably watched all S22 reviews by now, so I won't repeat the specs and benefits of the phone. There are plenty of other great videos mentioning and explaining them already. Instead, I will name 4 downsides of the S22 I only realized after having it used for a while as my daily driver. So maybe there's a deal breaker for you haven't heard before. So let's check out if the Galaxy S22 is still a good choice over 6 months after its launch. The very first thing I have noticed when taking the Galaxy S22 out of the box was the pretty sharp and boxy build. Every review tells you that the build quality is amazing, which is totally true. But the edges feel a bit too sharp for my taste. I know it sounds a little bit strange, and at first I couldn't even pinpoint why I felt this way. It's not like I haven't had phones with that form factor before. Only as I was looking closer, I noticed a small gap between the frame and the glass, both on the front and the back of the device. Samsung actually has a support page on that topic on their website. You can find the link in the description below. I guess it's there to increase durability, because on impact, the glass won't crack as easily when it's not sitting right at the edge of the frame. However, because of the tiny gap, you can actually feel the edge of the frame every time you touch the phone, and honestly, I haven't gotten used to it. My solution, I'm using a case. So if you plan on using the Galaxy S22 without a case, keep this in mind. Second thing I dislike about the S22 might sound a bit funny, but I'm just going to say it. The touchscreen is too sensitive. Yep, that's a thing. Hear me out. When I first switched to the Galaxy S22, I actually had problems in simply tapping icons on the screen. Because if you slightly move your finger while lowering it on the screen, it might recognize as a swipe instead of a tap. There are Reddit users reporting the same issue, and I personally never had the problem with any other phone before that. Just to put it into perspective, the last Samsung phone I owned before the S22 was the Note 20 in 2020. People are also mentioning the complete opposite, bad responsiveness of the touchscreen. I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually the same issue, because if you tap an icon and it instead registers as a swipe depending on where that happens, there might be no reaction in the UI and no visual feedback whatsoever. So it can look like that the touchscreen's responsiveness is bad, when in reality the opposite is true. My third gripe with the phone is its temperature. The S22 runs hot, even when not really doing something super performance heavy. Just setting up the Galaxy S22 or even taking pictures will warm up the phone noticeably. I'm using the Exynos version, but having seen many manufacturers of other phones mention their sophisticated cooling solutions for the Snapdragon variant, I suspect it's similar. Not to be dramatic, but I find it outright uncomfortable to hold it when it's heating up. The case I'm using because of the sharp edges helps a bit, but it still annoyed me so much that I got an app to lower the temperature limit and reduce CPU frequency. I would have used the built-in energy savings mode, because that's also reducing CPU performance by 30%, but it will also turn off the 120Hz refresh rate, and I wasn't willing to make that trade. And last but not least on the list is the vibration motor. To be fair, some reviewers mentioned this, but to be honest, I thought it wasn't a big deal because I never had any issues with other phones, even if reviews said that the motors aren't great. Not so with the S22. For the first time, I actually feel like the motor is lacking and borderline too weak. Unfortunately, there's really no fix other than using a smartwatch to get your notifications. Maybe that was the idea behind it, who knows. Okay, so that was it with my personal downsides of the phone. There are no deal breakers for me, and if I had the choice, I would buy it again, especially now since the price has dropped since its launch, but I would have loved to hear about those issues before purchasing it, so I could have made a more informed decision. What about you? Are the mentioned downsides deal breakers for you, or are the phone's benefits good enough to outweigh them? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video useful. Thanks for your time watching, and see you in the next one.